Okay, Richard Z98 says, should we always see new souls coming to Christ as a sign slash indicator that the Lord was with us in a particular event, service, or missions field? That's such a good question. And I'll just say this. I think people are going to do this no matter what my answer is. Like, inevitably, we're going, you go on a mission trip and like a bunch of people get saved. You're going to say, wow, God was really with us. And no matter what I say now, if you go on a mission trip and nobody receives the Lord, you're going to struggle with whether or not that was a successful trip. I don't think that struggle is ever going to change. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think anything I say is going to change that. Because there's something true about seeing a bunch of people get saved where you're like, God was obviously working in a powerful way. But where it seems to go wrong is when we think if nobody gets saved, if nobody gives their life to Christ, if the church isn't growing, then there must be something wrong with me and the way I'm doing my thing. For that, I mean, I look at like Jeremiah in scripture. Jeremiah is like the prophet nobody listened to, who felt like his ministry, it seems to me, he felt like he just wasn't having much of an impact. And he preached and preached and preached, and yet God was using him mightily and powerfully and continually, even after he died. Jesus, when he went to Nazareth, says he couldn't do many miracles there. And he was rejected. They mocked and ridiculed him, and they chased him away. Like, the Pharisees rejected him. Now, we know the story, so we never would think Jesus did something wrong or he failed in some fashion, right? But if it was you, or maybe I'll make an easier example is Paul. Paul the apostle goes into the synagogue and he's like, I gotta tell my brothers and sisters of Israel, I gotta tell the sons and daughters of Abraham about the Messiah who has come. He's risen from the dead. And they're like, we hate you, Paul. We want to kill you. And they not only did they reject Paul, but they sent people who followed him around to cause him problems. There was a point where Paul goes to the synagogue to preach, and at the end of it, he shakes the dust off his feet and he goes, you know what, from now on, I'm going to go to the Gentiles. Now, if Paul was writing his missions letter to his mission supporters, and he goes, yeah, we got chased out of the synagogue. We're not going to go to them anymore. It seems like that God's just kind of like closed the door. Like, he wouldn't have as much support. I'm just saying that we just tend to look at the results that way. And I don't think scripture does. I think that God tests us based on faithfulness. And the only question I have is, was I faithful and godly? And that's a totally different question, because at the end of a mission trip, at the end of like outreaching to family or friends, was I faithful and was I Christ-like? And if the answer is yes, then that was a success in my obedience to Christ. And any blessings or hardships or failures, I don't take credit for. I was faithful. Let the chips fall where they may. That I think is a healthy perspective, but it's not as exciting as, the other side. So, I don't know. Hopefully that helps somebody.